I thought this chapter was really good at highlighting two of the fundamental aspects of One Piece, which are the comedy and the group dynamics. We have Drum Island on the cover page. I think next time we're going to see Vivi and Kadu. That's just how it works. We go to Alabasta next. And listen, the whole part with Brooke singing the song about we're gonna go see the master Nekomamushi. Yeah, the whole thing is like, it's a manga, so the song, it doesn't really work unless there's like some music and unless I can understand how the lyrics like fit with the music. Like Bing Sake, right? Bing Sake, there's a chapter in the manga for Bing Sake. When I was reading it, it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, but it's nowhere near as cool when you actually see it in the anime and you hear the music along with the lyrics, everybody singing. That's what these songs are for, I think. Now, you may or may not know this, but the reason why this song is here is because Brooke's voice actor actually came up with this song. He was singing a song about a night cat, Nekomamushi. He was singing it, and he sung it to Oda, and Oda liked it so much that he decided to incorporate that into the manga. And so he decided to create the character of Nekomamushi, and now we see Brooke singing the song. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, art imitating life. Midway through the chapter, Peckham's becomes key. He automatically becomes a key player. So I was going through the pages and I was thinking, yo, we better get to Peckham's before this chapter ends, or I'm gonna be fucking pissed. And we did get Peckham's by the end, so that was a huge relief. Now, Oda recently did an interview with the English Shonen Jump magazine, and he was asked, what would you say to your American fans? And Oda said, I would say that as of right now, the story of One Piece is going to get even crazier, and some things that have never happened before are going to happen this year. So just keep reading. That's what he said. And I believe him, because since the start of the year, we have had nothing but quality chapters in terms of storytelling. The group discussion for the whole Sanji topic in this chapter was one of the most important things we've gotten this year, even though, it's still January. But whatever, it's one of the most important things we've gotten, and here's why. First off, I don't know if Oda visits like any type of One Piece online forums, but the discussion that the Straw Hats were having in this chapter was basically a One Piece forum overload. Like they were saying, like, oh, there's Robin saying, oh, the Vinsmoke family, that name sounds familiar. And then, Chopper's like, Luffy, you can't do that. Zoro's like, who cares? Usopp's like, don't take it lightly, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's like, has their different opinion. Everybody has something to worry about, is concerned about something else. That's like basically like a One Piece fandom type of discussion that we saw in this chapter. The attitudes of the members that stand out the most are two, and that's Luffy and Zoro, all right? And I do think that these attitudes are going to tell us where the story is headed next. Look at Luffy throughout this discussion. Just look at his facial expression. He's really confused about not knowing exactly what's going on, and if you look at the way that he reads the note, you see some concern in his face, which he didn't have before, like when he said, like, oh no, he said he'll be back. But now it's like, after hearing the story from Nami, he's like, wait, what's going on here? In fact, he gets so concerned that instead of going to see Nekomamushi first, which he did want to meet, remember, he wanted to meet Nekomamushi, instead of going to do that, he goes directly to find Peckham's to see if he can get some information. Furthermore, he says something that shocked the fuck out of, I guess I should have expected it, but at the same time, once I read it, I was like, whoa, like Luffy is serious. He says, okay, he was asking, so wait, is Sanji leaving the crew? Because he says, to me, that would be worse than working under Big Mom. What does that tell you? It means that Luffy, and this is, it should have been obvious, but Luffy values his friends more than his dream of becoming king of the pirates. Because if he works under Big Mom, he can't become king of the pirates. But at the same time, if he loses his friends, he knows that he can't become king of the pirates either, because he needs his friends to help him. He knows that. But when he said, like, having Sanji lead the crew is worse than working under Big Mom, I was like, oh shit. Now, surprisingly, Zoro's reaction is, chill out, bruh. Just chill the fuck out, bruh. No worries. Hakuna Matata. Which is a little bit weird to me, considering how he reacted when Usopp left the crew back in Water 7. But regardless, something that he said, well, he says a lot of things, but the thing that made me like super hyped was when he started, the way that he was thinking about it, his train of thought is, okay, so the cook went and got himself into that mess, even though it's not his fault. We know this. But then he's like, the way it works, the way the hierarchy is structured is that We fucked up things in Punk Hazard, and we had to deal with Doflamingo. We fucked up things in Dressrosa, and now we have Kaido after our ass. So, to me, like, this has become obvious after this chapter. Zoro is more interested in picking a fight with Kaido and finishing up the whole thing with that side of the fence, you know, than anything else. And that includes Sanji. He doesn't give a shit about Big Mom or Sanji. He's like, fuck, no. His mind's on Kaido right now. Now, to me, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that means that at some point, if they do decide to go and get Sanji, Zoro's going to be like, no. If Jack is after our ass, I'm better off staying here or at least confronting him myself while you go on the Sanji rescue mission. If Luffy takes, a part of the Straw Hat crew with him to Whole Cake Island to go see Sanji, all right, can you imagine how epic it would be to have the introduction to Big Mom's island while at the same time shifting over to Jack versus Zoro, just to have like Jack versus Zoro happening while at the same time Luffy is entering Whole Cake Island with some of the other crewmates? That would be fucking amazing. I know Luffy usually takes on the big bad. He takes on the boss. But Jack technically is not the boss. Kaido is. So it would be cool. And something else. And I've said this over and over again. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. But Zoro, ever since they entered the New World, has been fighting nothing but scrubs. I think that's why Zoro is focusing so much on Kaido's side of things. Because he knows that in order for him to grow, if you don't challenge yourself, how are you ever going to grow? How is he ever going to become the greatest swordsman in the world if he just keeps fighting these scrubs? All right, and then actually there's another part that we got recently when either the dog or Sicilian was talking about like the ruthlessness of Jack, and we just see Zoro just thinking to himself like, that sounds like a good fucking opponent for me. But anyway, yeah, so I really hope that's what ends up happening, guys. In terms of like Nekomamushi, the character, he won me over. Initially, I really liked the dog, but now with the cat's goofiness and the fact that he just doesn't give a fuck about his wounds and not having an arm, and he's a cat. He's like, oh, is that catnip? And he just pounces over that shit, and he sees like a ball and he wants to play with it, and he just does all these stupid, like funny, ridiculous things. He won me over. He really is just a fucking funny character, and he's even a boss. And at one point, I think Usopp says that he's afraid of shots looking like this. It was so funny. He's like, oh, Chopper, yeah, just give me the shot. Put that needle in my ass while I'm distracted. And I love it because it's Robin with like some fucking dandelion shit just going like, ooh. And he gets the shot, and he's like, oh, I feel better already. And Chopper's like, no, it takes time for this shit to work. Brook is just laughing his ass off. I've already said this in a previous review as well, but if the crew is going to split up, to me, it's obvious that Zoro and Robin have to stay. I don't know about anybody else, but Robin has to stay because there has to be a poneglyph in Zoe. It's not like she can just pass over that shit. So if you have any ideas about, who's going to go get Sanji and who isn't, please let me know in the comments section. Also, we get to see Pedro. I really like his design. He's a really cool cat, pun intended. He's just like, oh, he's sorry about what happened last. There's this part though where like Luffy he can't identify Pedro up on the tree, I think. So I'm like, what's going on with Luffy's observation hockey? Or maybe maybe the minks have some type of special observation hockey that allows them to like sort of like, just hide their presence or something. Finally, we see that Peckhams is healing up. And what I understood is that he was able to use the turtle shell on his back to at least mitigate some of the damage. And finally, we get the big reveal that Sanji's family, the Vinsmoke family, is not necessarily, it's kind of confirmed that he's not royalty, but it's a family of assassins. Do you think the Vinsmoke family is responsible for killing off Brook's crew, and that's why Brook is so afraid of them? If they're a crime family, then they must be the crime family of the underworld, because you don't get the power to change the bounty poster unless you have some type of pull with the government. If they don't have some type of link to the Gorosei or somebody like up in the government sphere, then, how are they capable of doing this to Sanji's bounty poster? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So to me, what I think is that these are the dudes, the Vinsmoke family are the dudes that the government hires to do their dirty work. So if something is iffy, if something's like fucked up and the government doesn't want to get its hands dirty, they send the Vinsmoke family to take care of business. That's the feeling that I'm getting. That's why Capone is part of this as well. Like Capone is a mafia boss, technically, right? And Sanji's like, hey, if you hurt me, you're going to have some problems. He intimidated Capone by saying that. So those dudes, I'm telling you, the Vinsmoke family are top dogs. Anyway, I thought that was a good chapter. Please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section. Like the video if you did. I appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't for more One Piece. Catch you guys later.